Recovery doesn't happen in a single moment. It stretches across months and years long after the floodwaters go down. After the 2022 floods, families across eastern Kentucky weren't just trying to rebuild what was lost. We were trying to understand what it would take to live safely and to build a future where this never happens again.
East Kentucky has been in a housing crisis since I moved here 30 years ago, that there is not enough decent housing for people to have.
Before the storm ever hit, our region was already dealing with a housing crisis. The flood didn't create it. It exposed how fragile housing was for so many families here. When the water rose, people stepped in however they could. Volunteers, neighbors, and local organizations dropped everything to help.
We basically stopped everything else that we were doing, the houses we had under construction, the repairs we had going on, and we started mucking and gutting houses and doing the sort of emergency repairs needed to get people back in, even if it was temporarily to build ramps or that sort of thing. Or, yeah, we got this out and the electric is now safe so you can get back in, and it's not a long-term place to live because it doesn't have drywall on the lower 4 feet. But at least you have a roof over your head for now.
Recovery requires speed and adaptability. HDA immediately jumped into action to do both, and Invest Appalachia's support allowed them to sustain and scale their work beyond response and into recovery. After a disaster, patient and flexible capital alongside local leadership is what enables families and communities to stay in place.
And then HDA decided that we were going to be part of the long-term solution as well. And so we said, beyond our existing mission of building and repairing houses for low-income people in Perry and the surrounding counties, we would do that sort of thing for flood survivors as well.
Those first days were about survival and doing whatever it took to get families back under a roof, even if only temporarily. But in the weeks that followed, a hard truth surfaced. Some homes had been repaired after the 2021 floods, only to be destroyed again the next year.
It's not a great use of resources to keep repairing the same houses over and over again, to buy the drywall and the insulation and all that. But that you can almost forgive. It's the seeing people with all their worldly possessions by the side of the road 12 months after they had just done that before was heartbreaking. And so we really concentrated on moving people out of harm's way.
When it happened, everybody said, well, this will take forever. It's going to take years and years. And I thought, well, it can't, we can't wait years and years. But just due to the way it happens, it takes years and years to get it done. And a big part of what we try to do is actually put a plan together that we can follow, and then we can use that plan if it happens again.
For local governments, the work ahead felt overwhelming. People needed answers quickly, but real, lasting recovery takes years. Small towns were suddenly carrying an enormous weight, often with only a handful of staff to manage it. So, communities began planning for resilience, not just rebuilding what washed away, but asking how to lessen the impact next time. Housing, stormwater, infrastructure, every piece needed attention, and even small changes like installing stream gauges gave families something they hadn't had since the flood, a little peace of mind when the rain returned.
Some of the meetings we were at, we were talking about USGS stream gauges, so we managed to pull a project together to put 4 stream gauges through town, one at the lake and one at the upper end of town, one in the middle of town, and one at the lower end. So it's not a warning system, but it's a awareness system. So if the stream gets up to a certain height, you can have it set on your phone and it'll give your phone alert. And I hadn't thought about this, but I've got one couple that lives down there, son's an attorney, and he's got it on his phone. So they go to bed at night knowing if he gets alert on his phone, he'll let them know, And it's not that it's imminent danger, but, it's been raining, the stream's got to this level, you may want to check on it.
Recovery isn't just about replacing what was lost. It's about imagining something better. Projects like High Ground aren't simply building houses. They're building entire communities where families can live safely with parks, services, and opportunities woven in from the start.
With the High Ground site, there's 140 acres. There's 92 acres for housing. And the High Ground thing was come up with by the governor and his staff to build communities, not just to go up and build a subdivision and say, here's your houses and you all live here. But how do you put a park with it? How do you have a church, a school, whatever else that goes with a community there, and then businesses to help support that community. So with our High Ground site, there's like 92 acres where the homes are going to be. And then there's some parks and stuff that's sort of designed into it. We'll have to find the funding for those. But then there's more possibility for like another 140 acres of business. So how do we develop that business in a way that we end up with that, a community?
Because we continue to work to fulfill that promise that we collectively made. Mayor, Judge, Scott, and everyone, that we were going to rebuild every home and every life. And it wasn't going to be enough to just survive. You could do that in a travel trailer. We had to thrive.
And across the region, organizations like the Housing Development Alliance grew to meet the need. More homes built, more repairs completed, and more families supported than ever before. Recovery demanded that kind of growth because the need was that great.
Basically, HDA over the past 3 years has somewhere between doubled and tripled in size. That we are building somewhere around 2.5 times as many houses, almost 3 times as many houses, and doing more repairs. And we've added more staff to be able to do that because it means more invoices and more bills to pay, and you have to have accounting clerks that do that. And we have more people visiting job sites and trying to find land to build on. And so we are being very conscientious about not only helping people who were survivors of the floods, but also continuing to address the housing crisis that existed before the floods happened.
The flood changed our landscape forever, but it didn't change who we are. Recovery is slow, complicated, and sometimes frustrating, but it's also full of hope. We are learning, planning, and building toward a future where our families can live without fear. And no matter how long the road is, we are walking it together, rising higher than the waters ever could, here on worthy ground.